What is up, hotties? Welcome back to another episode of Stay Hot. I'm Blaiden Kirk, joined as always by my two favorite co-hosts of all time, Matthew Sponhour and Theo Ash. And oh my god, I had a tab open and it just started playing like music and ads in my ears immediately. So that totally threw off my rhythm. But today we're talking about the AFC South. We've also got a good bit of news to discuss. There was, of course, the Hall of Fame game. We've had two major players request trades, Micah Parsons and Terry McLaurin. And along with the Hall of Fame game, there's also the Hall of Fame induction. And we can talk about both that as well as the future Hall of Fame class that could be coming up next year. But before we get into all of that, Matt, Theo, how are you guys doing on this beautiful Sunday afternoon?
I'm all right. I've been thinking a lot about who is going to get into the Hall of Fame next year. I think it'll be Breeze and Fitzgerald and Kuechly. They just did three last
Kuechly
time,
has
right?
to get in.
Well, you'd figure he would have gotten in as a first ballot Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
Considering he was All Pro every year but one. But
he had very much a Barry Sanders type of career.
Yeah, that's not a bad way to put it. But yeah, I guess he also
first ballot.
I'm sure he must have been.
Shit, I'd throw up all over the place if Barry Sanders wasn't first ballot. Yeah, he was first ballot.
Okay. But Theo, you said you had some stuff you wanted to talk about from the actual Hall of Fame game.
Yeah, the game happened between now and the last podcast we recorded. And for the takeaways, I mean, there's not too much to take away. It is the Hall of Fame game. It's the backups and then the backups leave halfway through so the real scrubs can go in. But a couple of things I thought were interesting. I was interested in how much the Lions would continue to just play press man coverage, and obviously they're hiding things and they're not going to call the same play every time like they did in the Hall of Fame game. But I guess I was interested to see that. I know they've been saying it all off season, but it was good to see it in person. Not too much changing from the Aaron Glenn mindset, tons of blitzing, tons of man, compared to previous Hall of Fame games, which I was watching, the day that the Hall of Fame game happened. It's a lot of just spot drop zone, a lot of just very vanilla cover three, right? I thought the Lions' approach was a little bit interesting, how much they were really pressing up and blitzing. And I was okay, this is probably going to continue to be their identity going into the year. And, how the players on the field look doesn't really matter because that's not going to be any of the players. But what they're training them to do and the identity is.
Yeah, and you are still trying to get a look of what guys are capable of, you know, and I feel like the best way to do that is just to test them.
Yeah. And there are a couple guys out there for the Lions that were, interesting to watch. Specifically, Rakestraw was someone I was keeping an eye on. And he did not have the most promising game. Certainly he had hands to the face. He got beat on the deep ball too. I'm getting our training camp hyphenated last name heroes mixed up. There's Ja'Cory Krosky Merritt, and then there's the Chargers guy whose name I've said a million times at this point. But I'm still just thinking Ja'Cory Krosky Merritt.
I can't.
Keandre Lambert Smith. That's Lambert Smith beat him deep, and he didn't look like he had too great of a recovery time there. So I was a little bit on edge about what I saw from Rakestraw on the defense, and then overall, yeah, that was basically it as far as the Lions defense goes.
Okay. Trey Lance.
I thought it was fine. Yeah, okay. I didn't think anything he was doing was super, super crazy.
No, it was good that he played so long in the game, but he continued to be jittery in the pocket. He wasn't really looking to stretch the field as much as he could have, I thought, especially against zone. He saw the one-on-one to Lambert Smith and took it. Mm-hmm. There were a couple other cover two reps over the course of the game where I would have liked to have seen him be a little bit more aggressive because I thought there was some stuff on the sideline, and then he took the check down. So it wasn't a laser show all over the place, right? He's just trying to protect the football. But it's not like he was hitting a bunch of crazy throws throws, or
Yeah.
he missed a bunch of goal line fades or some jittery moments. It's like, okay, he's looking okay in this game.
It almost feels like he still just doesn't quite have the
feel,
confidence
yeah.
of like, just, oh, I'm playing in the NFL. Like he threw a touchdown and went over to the sideline, and Harbaugh's trying to like pump him up. He's like, let's go, man.
Yeah.
And Lance is just like, I don't know. It's just like, it just, I don't know. It just doesn't feel like he's.
I think the fact that incident even happened just goes to show that his confidence needs to be, boosted and worked on maybe more than other quarterbacks. But I mean, it was a solid performance from him, and games like that in the preseason will improve his confidence. So it was good to see, but wouldn't say he looked like he had the Trey Lance arrival didn't necessarily happen.
I don't know if I'm game to confidence guess. I think it's so difficult to understand what does and doesn't affect these dudes. Like, I think about Bryce Young last year. His confidence got ruined by being benched, and then when he got put back in, somehow he was way better, even though his confidence had been ruined.
Yeah, but he locked in, and then he was more confident coming back.
It's maybe a little bit like the momentum take, where it's like, I don't think that confidence maybe, that's, I guess, not your point with momentum. But like, it's kind of hard to really pinpoint what is happening to a guy's confidence. So I think it's kind of hard to analyze. And like, if we're saying, well, this needs to happen so his confidence can improve, it's like, I think that you're looking at an incomplete picture.
Yeah, confidence isn't the right word as much as just experiences.
Yeah, he just doesn't have the experience.
He just needs to throw passes, and that will.
And that's what the confidence.
And like Harbaugh's like hitting him on the shoulders or whatever. Like, that's just what Harbaugh does. Okay, that's just like, he's farming Reddit upvotes. I get it. It's the Hall of Fame game. Why not? Right.
Hey, but Herbert would have pounded his chest back, and that's the.
And it would have gone front page on Reddit, dude. It would have been hype as hell. But no,
I'm not really a chest pounder guy. Shout out Jamari Caldwell. Shout out Isaac Tesla.
Yeah, I'm excited for him. I think he's gonna be cool.
But
yeah, man. Well, I do think we need to talk about the two potential trades that could be going on. Both Micah Parsons and Terry McLaurin have requested trades from their respective teams. Which of these trades do you think I'll say is either more likely to happen? And which do you think is just weirder or like crazier?
I think the Micah one is weirder. I just cannot think of any explanation.
Like made like an Instagram post.
Just because Micah's a weirder guy, first of all. So the content coming out of his trade request is just strange. And just like, he's a better player than Terry McLaurin and just should be...
Sure.
He's younger. Like, it just should be so easy to pay him. It should be just as easy to pay McLaurin, but it should be even easier to pay Micah.
Yeah.
He's Michael.
Well, which team do you think is more doomed if they trade these players away?
The Cowboys, because Micah's better. Like, he just
I don't know if we need to compare these two trades necessarily to talk about them.
Okay, then let's just talk about Micah first.
Yeah, I think the Cowboys are really dumb for not paying him. He's definitely one of the 10 most valuable non-quarterbacks in the NFL. He is a tier 1 pass rusher. He's looking for his first contract after a rookie deal, and guys like that, you just reset the market as soon as they are eligible for an extension. Sounded like that's what Parsons wanted to do, and unless he's lying, I think the Cowboys should have said okay and done it right then instead of holding out and probably just making it more expensive by waiting. I think that's maybe the bigger than anything else, right? Where it's like, even if you kind of win on some of the negotiating, by the time you're actually getting down to sign the deal, if you're waiting seasons to do it, you're probably paying them even more than you would have. So I just think Dallas is stupid for this. I can't imagine there's that many players who would go for more in a trade that aren't quarterbacks than Parsons. I mean, Jefferson, Chase, maybe. I mean, you could make an argument that Parsons would be the one, right? Like the most valuable in a trade, and it would start at 2 first-round draft picks and definitely be more. So I would just sign him.
This isn't the first time they've done. I mean, they did the same thing with Dak, right? They sit on their hands, they wait, and then it gets more and more expensive. So,
Yep. And it's bizarre they haven't learned from that, I think. But I guess we don't know everything behind the scenes. Like, of course, like, who knows what's happening, but
sure.
I'm having a tough time giving Jerry Jones benefit of the doubt, frankly.
Yeah, hard. Especially when it's one of the most valuable sports organizations in the world.
Right.
So.
Yeah, Micah Parsons, if he's not healthy for a game, how much do you think the point spread swings for the Cowboys? It's probably like 3 or 4 points if you knew Micah wasn't going to be in there. That's crazy, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Yeah.
For a defensive end, he's ridiculous. He matchup hunts, he always wins. His pressure rates are through the roof. He gets pressure so fast that he just is living in the quarterback's mind constantly. And he's the only hope that Dallas has. Like, I can get down with this offense with Dak and Pickens and CD, right? The defense is a little bit scarier because they ranked just so low last year. And Parsons only missed 4 games. They were like bottom 5 type stuff. And so the only way that they're going to be a productive unit is if like Parsons forces fumbles, if Parsons gets big sacks, if Parsons, tips a pass and it gets intercepted. Like, Parsons has got a lot on his shoulders to give that unit any hope. And if he's not there, like, we can kiss their top 10 pressure rate rushing 4 like number goodbye. And
I mean, their defense would be a disaster.
That's all that you are excited about. So, and Dak is the highest paid player in the league by far, right? The gap between him and Burrow, second place, is bigger than the gap between Burrow and Hurts, 10th place. Like, you're not paying Dak and thinking rebuild at the same time. That's exactly what you'd be doing if you traded Micah Parsons away. And then for the Commanders, it makes just as little sense to trade Terry McLaurin away. Like, Terry McLaurin and Jaden Daniels is like one of the best connections in the league between a quarterback and a receiver.
So
like,
I kind of think they would be more doomed, man. Like, if they don't have Terry McLaurin, like, who are they throwing the football to?
I don't disagree, but they're not more doomed than if you trade away Micah Parsons.
I guess
Jalen Lane would have to cook up something, but I would feel better about that than whoever the Cowboys have behind Parsons. I like Ezeraku, and it sounds like he's having a good camp, but he's not Micah Parsons. But yeah, Blaiden, I see what you're saying. Like, the Commanders' offense is built on like deep shots to Terry McLaurin. Like, why would you want to get rid of that? Mm-hmm. Why wouldn't you just want to pay that? You're the oldest team in the league. Jaden is on a rookie contract. Like, it's tough to get more win now than you right now. Like, yes, with those two things happening simultaneously. Like, you're traded for Tunsil. Like, you had a big free agency. You brought in Deebo
right.
Samuel.
I mean, the idea right now is that you've beefed up the offensive line. You brought in Deebo as kind of like a cool gadget guy, right? So how are you going to improve? Well, with those dudes. But if Terry's gone, like, yeah, you just don't have the outside receivers. Yeah, it offsets all of it. I will say, though, like, I understand the hesitation with Terry way more than Micah. With Micah, it's like, this is the most valuable position that isn't a quarterback. It's his first contract, like, and he isn't in some like weirdo, how good is he exactly tier. Like, he's definitely tier 1, undebatably. With Terry, he's a very good player, but he's also 30 years old, right? And I think there's some concerns. It's like, yeah, if you give him a massive contract with a bunch of guaranteed money, it would feel like it's honestly like decently likely that you would get to a point where maybe you're overpaying him, right? I don't disagree, like, at the end of the day, that you probably should just pay him anyway because you don't want to burn this season, right? And you do if he's gone and you have nothing to replace him. Right. But I understand the hesitation more, but I don't know if I could just say, sorry, rookie Jaden Daniels, we're going to cheap out right now. It's not a good idea. Or not rookie, but rookie contract. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense, dude. I mean, you'd be rocking in with, it'd be Deebo Samuel, Noah Brown, Luke McCaffrey, Jalen Lane, Michael Gallup. Like, you just don't have anyone who's even like close to that level.
Yeah,
it would be so much look, if they trade away Terry McLaurin, get Zach Ertz in fantasy, man, because he's getting 200 targets this year. So
if they trade away McLaurin, don't get any Commanders in fantasy. That's what I'd say.
It's not a bad idea.
Good.
Just avoid that team. I don't know what it would take. I mean, would anybody really truly be mad if he gets paid like a little bit more than DK Metcalf and like a little bit less? There's no way. If he's asking for CD money, I'd tell him to go take a hike, and eventually he'd sign because no one would give him that.
Yep.
But
I completely agree.
But if he's
we also don't know how much Terry is asking for. I guess with Parsons, we think he's being reasonable. It sounds like he's not even like trying to go crazy reset, even though like he totally could.
He could.
With Terry, I guess we're not 100% sure about the details of that. We just know he's requested a trade.
Yeah.
And we can only say he's probably generally asking for a lot.
Yeah. Parsons is probably asking for what, like 45 million? That'd be my guess. Because Watt is 31 and is making what, 41 million a year? Yeah. And over the course of his extension, we can project him to go down because he's old.
Sure.
So if he's making 41 and Micah, we can project him to go up or at least stay at this elite level. Like I see defensive player of the year in his future. I see like maybe his craziest season in his future in a way I can't quite with TJ Watt. So he should be getting like a decent chunk more than Watt. And Watt is at 41. So like something like 45 a year would be a pretty big reset of the highest paid non-quarterback. But again, I would pay that to Micah Parsons. Like,
yep.
No problem, because you need him. You have Dak Prescott making $60 million a year. You're not blowing this up now. You cannot. So yeah, I'd pay him that.
And if you wait any longer, the Bengals might pay Hendrickson.
Yeah, exactly.
They're gonna have to pay him $50 million.
Although Hendrickson is not making 41.
Too much about that.
I would not worry about the Bengals paying Hendrickson 42 a year. Yeah.
Maybe not.
But let's get into the division here.
No, let's get into the division. We're talking about the AFC South today. I was talking to Theo before Matt got in here. This just feels like a division that's just not all that interesting. But it feels like it should be, because it's like, oh, rookie quarterback, Cam Ward, Travis Hunter's here, Anthony Richardson and Daniel Jones, quarterback battle. Like, it feels like it should be an exciting division, but for some reason it's really just not.
Yeah, I think in general, the Jaguars are interesting. They might not be great, but they are interesting.
I think so.
I think the Titans with Cam Ward, I know he's like kind of one of the least, I guess, popular first overall quarterback picks in a while, in terms of like, you just don't hear a ton of buzz about him. Not that anybody has like anything against him, but he
maybe
just
that's
does
a good
not
bet.
have. Yeah, maybe flying under the radar is his MO. I can't hate it, but I'm interested to see what that turns into, even if I don't really think there's like a great path to the Titans being crazy good this year or anything.
Mm-hmm.
The Colts are going to be a weird team because of their quarterback situation, I believe. And then the Texans, I mean, we can get into them. Why don't we start with them just for the sake of it? Mm-hmm. The Texans' offensive line is still not looking very good. That's the number one thing to say about them. Losing Tunsil makes it feel like, you've taken a step backwards here. And frankly, like going into last year is like, okay, we're questioning the offensive line, but Stroud was coming off a great season and the receivers were nuts, right? On paper, it was Collins, Diggs, and Tank Dell. This year, it's like, okay, I still think Stroud's a really good quarterback, but clearly he is not like just going to overcome a disaster up front level of good. And I don't know how many guys are. I'm not saying that's like a reasonable expectation for him or anything. But on top of that, like, I have questions about the receivers outside of Nico Collins. Nico Collins himself, I think, is good enough to be wide receiver 1 any given year in a fantasy or just in how good he plays context. Mm-hmm. But outside of that, I mean, they've made moves and given it a real shot to fill in the gaps here, obviously, with Higgins. But that's no lock. And it could just come down to, like, they've got 2 really good players on offense and not a ton around them. Frankly, they were not good offensively last year. They were bad. They were very bad.
They were 20
team.
Yeah.
It's hard to imagine this with a team that has, like, again, a great, true number 1 wide receiver and a great young quarterback. but they are a team where it's all defense and no offense, basically. It's strange. You don't see them built like this very often, but that's who they are. And I think it's going to be relatively similar this year.
They're the anti-Packers, where the Packers are the best team you could possibly build with no elite edge rusher, wide receiver, or corner. And then the Texans are the worst team you could possibly build with elite receiver.
They have they have an insane number of franchise like cornerstone pieces at important positions to be a team
Everywhere
where I'm like,
else.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Everywhere else. I think you're right, Matt. I think the offense probably will be rough again. I mean, Joe Mixon is looking to be out for most of, if not the entire season. Tank Dell, we have no timeline for when he.
Joe Mixon is out the entire season?
Yeah.
He's out. Yeah.
I didn't know that.
He's out for most of the season. And I don't even know. I'm seeing Dameon Pierce is also dealing with something, but
Joe Mixon is not out for the season.
He's out for.
Is he?
8 days ago. Source: Texans Mixon out majority of preseason now.
Yeah.
I thought he tore.
He did not. He's not going
to. What was his injury? It was an ankle injury. Okay, so maybe it's not as bad as I thought it was. But I saw before.
But he's old.
Going to be.
He is older, and regression is totally possible. That is a thought that.
Yeah.
That is.
Yeah. I don't know. I was hearing before that he was going to be out for most of the season, but yeah, now it's saying he's just out for most of the preseason, which is good for them.
I mean, it's not good either way if you start with an
older guy where it's like eyebrow raising ankle injury. It's not great.
Yeah. Not good news, certainly, but
it's not good news. But if he's healthy for the regular season, he's still a good running back. I mean, at this point, they'll take whatever they can get, considering the backup option is Chubb, who, coming off of his slew of injuries, has not looked good either. Right. So,
I mean, you have to assume that Chubb is not going to play a major factor here until proven otherwise. He's what?
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. I mean, he was really rough.
It's Woody Marks and Dameon Pierce. I don't know, man. It's hard to imagine that this offense is better than it was last year. When we're looking at the offensive line and saying it's not better, we're looking at the receivers and saying they're not better.
I mean, Tomlinson and Robinson is the two big ads on the offensive line, or two of the big ads, I should say, is not encouraging.
I can truly buy that they're still better on offense because Slowick is gone.
Yeah, that's what I think is worth having a conversation about, is if they can make up for it a little bit more. And you know what? Let's be fair about what our analysis was of the offensive line last season. It wasn't even necessarily entirely a talent thing. It was that they just seemed confused all the time. Stunts just crushed them. And it doesn't take some humongous ad to be better about that, to be a better coach team. So can the offensive line be mediocre or regular bad? Which if that's the hopeful take on it, not awesome,
right?
Not great, but if they can just be regular bad and Higgins is a hit and Stroud rebounds a little bit from a normal sophomore slump, they can be better offensively, where they're not, a genuine negative holding down what I think is a really great defense, right?
Right.
Where did we have them ranked? We had them in our top 10, of course.
It was definitely in the top 10. I think they were in our top 5.
I think they were.
I was thinking 5, yeah.
I think they were, yeah. And it goes beyond just not being able to pick up a stunt. It goes to running on second and long over and over and over again.
Yeah, that's silly.
They lost more EPA on that type of play call than any other team last year. And Stroud this offseason said that he didn't really have control pre-snap. He didn't have the ability to get the play into the best possible play for the defense, right? It was just a bad play call that he couldn't change. And he noted how this year he's got more freedom at the line of scrimmage. So there's a lot of things that you can do better than Bobby Slowick. And the offense is at... People don't realize just how low of a starting point they're at. Since Stroud was drafted, The Texans have the lowest offensive success rate in the division. They are below the Titans. They are below the Colts. They are below the Jaguars.
Where does that rank them among the league? It has to be
Horrific.
close. It's got to be.
They're ahead of the Browns. They're ahead of the Jets. They're ahead of the Giants. They're ahead of the Panthers. And then there they are at 28th. And that is not just last year. That's 2023 too, taken into account when Slowick was getting interviews. And, the offense has never actually been that good under CJ Stroud. They've always had these issues. So with a new OC, I can see things getting a little better. But at the same time, you did lose Tunsil.
On paper, their offensive line still doesn't look good.
It's still terrible.
I completely agree.
Like, think about the Super Bowl and how Josh Sweat looked on a mismatched Joe Thuney. That's every week, both sides of the line for the Texans. Like,
how much
it's Cam Robinson and the Notre Dame guy. I want to say Kenyon Green, but that's all there. Blake Fisher is what I'm thinking of.
Blake Fisher.
Yeah.
They traded away Green.
Yeah, they did, which was a good trade to get Gardner Johnson and should help out the defense.
Yeah.
But yeah, like if you have one player who's really good on the line, you can kind of leave them on an island and funnel help everywhere else. And now you don't get that anymore. So that's kind of, sure, maybe you have a better coordinator, but he can't cook with no agreement.
I was looking up Cam Robinson's contract. Buddy is sitting on a 1-year deal with 4 void years after this. I'm dead serious. They need to fix this. No more of this. This is nonsense. This is not how the system is supposed to work at all.
It's funny that you can do this and the Cowboys still can't get Micah Parsons signed. Like the Eagles, every single player they have has 10 void years on, and the Cowboys are like, we really cannot figure out how to fit this Mike contract in.
There's just no way, man. The Saints have been doing this shit for a decade.
Yeah, the Saints have been able to sign Cameron Jordan to 500 straight contracts. They were able to sign Taysom Hill to a bigger deal every year as the cap situation got worse. So yeah, the Texans, I'm concerned that the offensive futility is going to catch up with them at some point.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that the rest of this division has kind of caught up to them this offseason. I really do. I
don't think anybody is as good on one side of the ball as the Texans defense. And say what you want, the Texans' path to being an okay offensive team is clear. I mean, take the Colts. I don't have any faith in what is going to happen to them offensively. It's going to be Richardson, who is inaccurate and injury prone, and Daniel Jones. And maybe I shouldn't just quickly run through my thoughts on all of these teams.
Yeah.
But I'm still worried about the Jaguars defense, and the Titans are basically trying to get up to a baseline of regular play to put around a young rookie quarterback to see what you have there. They're in a totally different category.
I still have the Texans being the best team in this division.
I can hear the argument for the Colts being sneaky and going on a runner. I can hear an argument for the Jaguars offense being super sick, and Lawrence finally having the big year with Cohen, and you're really high on Brian Thomas Jr. and Travis Hunter. Look, I can get down with that because those dudes are demons. But I still think if there's one side of the ball of one of these 4 teams to be confident in, it absolutely is the Texans defense by far. It's not even close. Yeah. And that gives them a baseline that I don't think anybody else in this division has.
That is true. But like I said, their offense has been so bad these last 2 years that there is a chance behind this line that the Jaguars start to lap them.
I see what you're saying, but I do think the line will be an issue, but they're able to hit a lot of big, success rate probably looks worse for them than just straight up EPA, I would guess. And tethering this last year to the first year when they were pretty good with an offensive line that still wasn't that great, or at least better. I think there's more upside than them being truly the 20. They haven't been the 28th offense in the NFL, I don't think, over the last couple of years.
No, they are 21st in EPA, which does factor in.
And they're
big
31st
plays.
in success rate.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So.
But they're still behind
Which is not great.
Jacksonville a little bit. I mean, it's literally number 20 and 21. But that's again since 2023. And the last time we saw Lawrence in I don't know if it's fair to say the last time we saw Lawrence in a good situation, but 2022 was the year he was.
I see the vision. I see the vision. The Jaguars turn into like an outgun you team. Nobody can deal with year 2 Brian Thomas Jr. and Travis Hunter is who he's billed. Lawrence, who I don't think, there's mixed opinion. I don't think is a bad player at all. I think he's got a chance to be very good in a situation that I think is going to start to really support him. I mean, I hope, right?
Yeah.
And that's a conversation within itself that we can get to in a minute. But I think for the Texans, they're still going to be my one. I don't quite have it in me to pick the Jaguars, but yeah, I think the defense is still looking really good on paper, and it was good last year, and we got a top 5. And even if I have questions about the offense, they'll probably still get this thing done.
And I'll take the Jags at 2 if we want to get into them. The problem with Jacksonville, dude, their defense was it was the worst pass defense in football last year.
Yeah, it was the worst pass defense in all of football.
Astronomical margin. To the point where, even if we're super high on Travis Hunter and he's going to play both sides immediately and he's going to be great at both immediately, is he by himself changing this pass defense to being above water?
I mean, there's more reinforcements than just that. They have a new defensive coordinator, and if we think that Al Golden can do some damage in Cincinnati, and
we do
Bobby Slowick being gone counts, we can look at the Jaguars and say a new coordinator and Travis Hunter and simple defensive regression. I mean, same as the Browns, their defense can take a bit of a jump. I mean, they were the 10th rated defense by DVOA in 2023, and then that fell to 31st. So a bit of a bounce back is possible, especially if Campbell is finally healthy and he's playing alongside Hunter.
Yeah, I can agree with that. But I don't know. I think just Hunter alone, even with Campbell getting healthy, is probably not enough to stop them from being not a great pass defense now.
Not a great, but there is the coordinator of it all coming from Green Bay. I guess I don't know enough about the Jaguars' defensive play calling to give you a full breakdown here. But I think a lot about this defense is there's stuff to like about how they're built at certain positions. I think Hines Allen and Trayvon Walker are big pieces.
It's not a bad edge duo at all.
It's not a bad edge duo at all. And I think Trayvon Walker took some really big leaps last year where he's not only a 10-sack guy, but he's also really, truly a great run defender as well, just like he was supposed to be. And then if Campbell and Hunter is the corner duo for most of the year, that's a far cry from what they were getting last year when Campbell was banged up, and when he was healthy, he was playing far below his standard. So if they can be better kind of through the perimeter like that from the edge, guarding the sidelines, I'm not saying they're going to be a top 10 defense like the Texans should be.
No, but I get what you're saying. If they're sort of budget Browns. I mean, that was your comp, not mine. I don't think it's a bad one to say the Browns went from the best defense in the NFL to kind of middle of the road, and now
they were an outlier bad passing defense. They probably won't be that again. Right. Actually, one great corner, which Hunter very well could be, probably can change that. It might not make them awesome, but it could make a very big.
It can get them.
We think Travis Hunter is really good.
Yeah,
having a really good cornerback probably does make a big difference. It would be ignorant to say otherwise. And if you believe that he's a really great receiver, and I'll be real with you, I've been seeing those reports about his stamina is just crazy. I am starting to feel more and more like it's just going to turn out that he's just a special one-of-one guy. That is just not normal. He continues to be weird and great in a way that nobody else is weird and great. And that he can like contribute more on both sides of the ball than you would expect. I really do think we could be seeing that this next year. And if that's the case, like, yeah, like I said, I mean, if the offensive line can hold up, there's no reason they shouldn't have a crazy great passing attack and a better defense.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's fair. Maybe I still won't take them to beat out Houston, but I'm willing to say it can be within a game. I think it can be close. They can definitely contend for it. And maybe they could still make the playoffs in second. I don't think...
It's tough, man. Cohen is a great play caller. He really is a great hire, and they should be very excited about that. I mean, using the weapons, and Brian Thomas Jr. also is so good. It gets lost in like maybe the Malik Neighbors of it all or whatever, or just in the fact that there's kind of been a lot of great young wide receivers recently where they burst onto the scene very, very quickly. But I mean, Brian Thomas Jr. was, second team All-Pro for what that's worth last season as a rookie and on a weirdo team. And I'm not saying he's in a bad situation. There's certainly worse guys to have throwing to you than Lawrence, but it wasn't even Lawrence for a lot of the year. Right.
Right.
I don't know, man.
Yeah.
There's really not a good reason why they shouldn't be incredibly scary every Sunday.
Yeah. I think that they can be a very competent team. I mean, as bad as Bobby Slowick was, I think Doug Peterson had just as many crimes. And Liam Cohen, I'm more willing to bet on than Nick Caley, who shout out the Rams and the people McVay have developed. But Slowick was at one point like a Shanahan tree guru too. So I just don't know about Caley. Like, is he good or is he bad? With Cohen, I've seen just some of the best schemes in the whole National Football League already. Like, his run game is crazy diverse. Like, anything you could possibly ask for is in there, dialed up at the exact right time. He's got so many different flavors of running backs now, and a receiving trio with Thomas Hunter and Dimey Brown that has a chance to be the best in the league. And Lawrence has showed that he can play at a high level. He showed that he can win a playoff game. I mean, that 2022 Jaguars offense is still a higher bar than anything else in this division is set, including the Texans with Stroud. So that's why I'm in on the Jaguars, and I've got them winning the division.
Would you like to hear the opening odds for the AFC South?
I would.
I've looked it up before. I think the Texans are plus 100,
plus 110. And then the Jags are plus 310, and the Colts are plus 375. I do think the Jags should be closer to the Texans than they are to the Colts.
Absolutely. I agree.
Yeah.
Again, we'll get into the Colts. I've been very negative about them this entire offseason, I feel like.
Well, you want to get into them now?
Why don't we get into them now? We'll circle back to the final rankings.
The Colts, I want to be in on Richardson so bad. I've seen the reports of like he feels like he's working harder this offseason, that he was kind of like coasting last year, and that, Daniel Jones being there has really lit a fire. Apparently, so they asked Steichen like what the current state of the QB battle there is, and he says it's neck and neck. But then, like, a lot of the beat reporters in Indy are like, it's not a battle. Like, it's going to be Richardson. And Daniel Jones is just there to light a fire.
It's good. No better possible news for the Colts could be coming out of training camp than Anthony Richardson is winning the quarterback battle against Daniel Jones. Because if they were sitting here saying, sorry, we're rolling with Daniel Jones, we can, in the long run, like, pack the thing up. Right. We don't need to, we know how that's rolling out. I mean, look, with Richardson, it just comes down to the accuracy, right? He just misses too many throws. They just cannot have any consistency in terms of, like, I don't think completion percentage is a good stat to judge players at all. But I do think if you're completing, like, south of 50% of your passes, like, kind of an extreme that big does speak on you. And he misses a ton of easy throws, and it's hard to get into a rhythm. I like the Colts' weapons pretty well. I like Taylor and the running backs in general. I like Downs. I like Alec Pierce. I'm excited about the Warnett. I think he'll be really great with the ball in his hands. Like there's good players here, totally. But the thing with Richardson is that he needs to take such a major leap in terms of accuracy. And then he also has to stay healthy. He can't get himself hurt, but he also needs to be able to like use his physicality and his ability to rush without being like, I have to bottle it up because I don't want to get hurt, because I don't want to, screw up my shoulder or whatever. Right.
Yeah. Apparently he also totally revamped his mechanics this offseason.
Yes. Yes. Finally.
So we'll see how that looks.
Back.
We'll see how that looks. I've never seen Theo so excited.
It's hype.
I'd like to see a bust who didn't revamp their mechanics in an off season. But with that being said, I'm not in on Richardson, but I would also say that no one should be. I shouldn't say no one should be out because I get it, but it's a little unfair how quickly everybody's out. That's how I feel about it. There are so many great quarterbacks that have sucked so bad the first 2 years of their career. Like it's happened too many times for me to.
You should see the bad ones who sucked the first couple of years.
There's a lot of bad ones.
It's a lot more.
But come on, like if it was 2009 or whatever, or 2010, like there would be no convincing Mr. Matthew Sponhour that Matthew Stafford was anything but like over. Like he had so many shoulder injuries. His career record was like 3-10. Like he literally
crushed 7-year-old me in a
7-year-old Matt would be in shock at the Matthew Stafford going on to have like a good career after the first 2 years. Steve Young was the first overall pick. He was awful the first 2 years of his career in Tampa. He got traded
away. Pull out the Peyton Manning.
If you think Manning was that bad his first 2 years, there have been so many worse starts to their careers than Peyton Manning. Troy Aikman, Josh Allen, McNabb, John Elway, Alex Smith, Phil Simms, Doug Williams, like Michael Vick. Like all of those guys had beginnings of their careers on par with Richardson. Caleb Williams right now has a beginning of his career that's on par with Anthony Richardson. Drake May, number-wise,
completion percentage-wise.
It doesn't. Completion percentage is just one stat of many. Like Richardson has won more games than Caleb and is more efficient in Caleb in a lot of other categories. Like EPA, the fact that he has avoided sacks and hit a lot of big plays actually lifts Richardson up above Bryce Young.
Although, I'll even say to the sack avoidance thing, his sack avoidance has gotten worse since coming out of college because he's like become more timid.
I don't know.
So like that is
14 sacks in 11 games.
He's not taking like he's not taking a lot of sacks, but like his sack rate is significantly higher than it was in college, and it's been getting higher.
Well, his sack rate in college was like ridiculously good. Like it was ridiculously good. So it couldn't have gotten like if it was getting lower in the league, it would be insane. He's done a nice job with that specific aspect. That aspect of his game, I think, is okay. Obviously, the other aspects, not so much. Getting rid of the ball, and throwing it out to the right place, But I'm not. I just think he was so raw, so inexperienced that the speculation that he should have lost this quarterback battle or was going to lose this quarterback battle was crazy to me. I think we've gotten to a normal point now because he's kind of had a chill training camp. He hasn't been hurt through all of it. Sounds like he's out playing Daniel Jones. Things have gotten a little bit more normal about Anthony Richardson. And if he wins the job and sucks, then okay. But the talk that he shouldn't have won the job over Jones was always crazy and people being way too out on him too fast. There's a real chance he is not Steve Young. and he's one of the many quarterbacks who sucked at the beginning of their career and always sucked. But I don't know. I think people have hope for quarterbacks who are just as unproven and inexperienced, and quarterbacks do turn around a decent amount. They really have, especially recently. But that doesn't mean the Colts will be good. That all this
it doesn't mean the Colts will be good. I mean, there's like even if Richardson is better than he has been, and the offense can start to get to a point where you can actually run a real offense, the thing that concerns me is still the defense to a good bit. I don't know how much the Anarumo addition as defensive coordinator actually helps, just because of like,
I still kind of think Lou has some juice. I don't think this is a bad defense at all.
I don't think it's like,
I don't think it's like a great defense. We didn't put it in our top 10.
Yeah.
Right. But
I wouldn't have even,
I don't know. They added some secondary pieces to a secondary that could use some help. The defensive tackles are obviously super, super cool there. Stewart and Buckner. Like, yeah, there's enough there for me to be interested in them for sure.
You need Lot 2 to be really good this year, because if not, then you really don't have like a ton of great pass rush on the edge. The linebackers are terrible. And
the linebackers. Jalen Carley's is going to start.
Look, it's I don't think it's a top 10 defense, but when I look at the Colts, my main concern is their bet is on Daniel Jones, who would, I don't think, even crack like my top 40 of QBs in the NFL, and Anthony Richardson, who I will agree, it is good to keep in mind that he is still strong at some things that make him more valuable than like his biggest weaknesses might make you think he is. But he's also somebody that is like trying to rework their throwing mechanic, which is really hard to do. I mean, that's an incredibly big ask. And like if he's where he was in terms of accuracy last year, there's just a really, really hard cap on this team, no matter how much you like certain things. I will say, Blaiden, his pressure to sack percentage last year was 12.2. That's pretty dang good in the NFL. I don't think his sack avoidance is.
Yeah, guys can't really tackle him. That is the nice thing about Richardson, is he'll buck a guy off of his back. He might get too tired and then tap out a couple plays after he does it. But he does break a lot of tackles, and he stands at tight pockets, and he bombs the ball downfield instead of getting sacked. And he can be going to the ground. He can be literally an inch off the ground and throw it 50 yards downfield and get it out of there. So he is hard to like sack with the ball in his hands. But
yeah, and like of quarterbacks who, like, I don't know, had 200-ish dropbacks at least, which is not a crazy mark. Richardson was like 23rd in yards per attempt, so like kind of around the middle. That's not that bad of a number. I see your vision, and yeah, the completion percentage stuff is hurt by the fact that he's throwing like 70-yard only and Madden mega nukes.
His average depth of target is like 12 yards down the field. It's crazy.
It is 12.3. Next closest is T-Law with 9.9. It truly is.
That's insane.
The play calling last year just did not make a lot of sense to me, and I'm looking for Steichen to get better as well, which is not a point for Richardson or the Colts at all. In fact, it's probably a point against them. But like, I felt bad for Richardson. He'd get blitzed, and there'd be two people out in the route, and they were both 20 yards down the field. And the amount of pressure that he had to hang under to even get a throw off is just like ridiculous to me. Like blitzes for him and Flacco just killed the offense, and they've got to figure out a way. I think they need to, for better or worse, spread it out more and pass in rhythm more with Richardson. Like, I understand that sounds scary because he's not accurate enough to like string completions together.
But if
right
his
now,
mechanics are good now, then.
But I like, you can't keep living with the 14 average depth of target of 12 like nukes, and he's holding it for threes, and he's getting like crushed, and he's getting hurt, and there's like no possible way for him to get rid of the ball quickly. Like, sure, he might not be able to play the other way, and he might just be a bust and suck, but like, you gotta figure that out.
Okay.
Like, you gotta figure figure out if he can play with a little bit more rhythm.
I've been clicking through PFF's premium stats trying to find the last time that somebody had an average depth of target. Assuming they've played at least 20% of 150,
Sure.
it's real players only, right? No, this guy threw one pass. Happened in 2011. This is the last time that somebody had an A dot higher than 12.3. I will tell you right now, it was 13.2. That person took 341 dropbacks. 2011, who do you think it was? Very big name. You know this person well.
Yeah.
Average depth of target. Rodgers was crazy in 2011, but was he that
I don't think it
aggressive
was
downfield?
Rodgers. I don't think that's
he
enough
was been
snaps
that.
for
Rodgers, 9.2. Pretty high. Not
Pretty
bad.
high.
I will say this is a particularly high average depth of target year, it seems like.
Is this Jamarcus Russell?
Russell was out of the league in 2011.
Not
Was he out of the league in 11?
Mhm.
Okay.
Definitely.
I was
know.
worried that it was going to be Russell.
I'll say Cam Newton.
No, good guess. He's led before, but that was in 2016. He was sitting at 10, put him 6th place.
Phillip Rivers?
Phillip Rivers, sitting at 9. That's a good guess.
Okay.
That's a good guess. Vincent Jackson was probably on the team at that point and bumping.
Shout out Vincent Jackson.
I don't know.
This is a great Nerd Sesh trivia question.
It is it's Tim Tebow was
dude.
the dude throwing nukes like that.
That's almost just as bad as Jamarcus Russell, honestly.
It's something, man.
He
I honestly
probably
feel
is
like-
also-
Where was Tebow playing that year? Was that Denver?
yeah. That's the only year he was
He, yeah.
I don't.
He probably
he
was
wasn't-
also the last guy to have a completion percentage south of 47% with starting 14 games, you know.
And you know what? They won a playoff game. So
Russell's not a bad guess though. A couple years earlier, he was second with 10
there we go.
or 10.05. Anyway, here's what I'll say. I think there probably is a pretty decent floor for the Colts somewhere or another, with Richardson maybe being misrepresented, like I said. But you're asking me if I think that like reworking somebody's mechanics to try to become more accurate in an offseason is going to like pay out. And then we also have to get that guy to stay healthy. With what we know, I'm not saying it's impossible. I'm not going to bet on that.
I'm not betting on it.
Not
either.
when I can look at the Jaguars and say they got a guy who really could be like a crazy special prospect and somebody who I think is an awesome coach. Or the Texans, where I'm like, I know their defense is great and I know they got a quarterback and a top tier wide receiver.
Yeah. And I'm not as in love with the Colts weapons as you, man. I mean, Pittman's had back surgery and Pierce is cool. Pierce is such a cool deep
They
threat,
have some
but
guys. Look, I'll say this: Downs could have a humongous year if he could get like somebody who's not completing 47% of their passes. Frankly, I think Downs is a really great player. Pierce obviously like is very good in his role. They've got good pieces, but I can agree that like, do they have someone who is a true bona fide like wide receiver one? No, they don't. And where that ranks them then among like the league's weapons is probably not crazy high, but I like a lot of the guys
I think
that
that's
they have,
made
so.
up for by having a great running back, though. A little bit.
I don't know if Taylor is so great that, especially like with the inconsistency that he has with injuries and whatever, I don't know if he's so great that could totally change. Like, it certainly doesn't change the fact that they don't have like, you know, a Nico Collins or a Brian Thomas Jr. That running backs outside of a handful don't have impact like that. That's not a shot at Jonathan Taylor or anything.
He shot at Jonathan Taylor, and he is now very upset at you.
And where did we rank him? I mean, I guess 6th, 7th in our list.
He was definitely top 10.
He was definitely top 10. Regardless, like, yeah, it's just tough for me.
Yeah, I mean, they're a lot like the Packers. Again, this is the second team I've compared to the Packers, so I'm on my
We had them at
shit
5th.
today. But I think the Packers and the Colts were at the bottom of the league in on target catch percentage. So like they both dropped a lot of catchable balls, and then they have like a really physical old school kind of back. And they both added a weapon in the first round. One is Tyler Warren, one is Golden. I'm a little bit higher on Golden. I'm a lot higher on Golden, frankly, especially for a year one breakout, because tight end is a little notorious for not being great as rookies usually. So I like Downs, definitely, but I think as a collective unit, the receiving core still looks inconsistent. They've lost pieces on the line. Richardson, I think people are too hard on, but that doesn't mean they won't end up being ultimately right. Even if I don't agree with all the logic that gets used.
Right.
So yeah, I'm not too sold. I like the defense, but again, the secondary and the linebackers make me think it's going to fall short of being elite. There's not a ton to get excited with the Colts, I'm afraid.
He's afraid.
You need a Richardson breakout, and that's tough to bet on. It's as simple as that. I see what you're saying. I don't think you're wrong, but I got him definitely at third in the division for me.
Well, that's better than being fourth.
Which is where the Tennessee Titans most likely rank.
I could sort of see the vision for them getting out of the dumpster, just based on the fact that Will Levis was on the field for 24 touchdowns last year. 19 of those were offensive, 5 of those were defensive. So it wasn't just a number of turnovers that they had last year, but just the sheer horrificness of these turnovers and the total flip in how they changed outcomes of games, or not changed outcomes of games, but just made it so tough, in terms of point differential for them. So Cam Ward can definitely get them out of that level, and bless Will Levis's heart, stay hot legend. But yeah, I that's the one thing where it's getting rid of that alone might be enough to make them sort of a palatable offense this year.
I don't know. I'll be real with you. Here's the thing. I'll start this off by saying I think I like Ward enough. If you made me guess, will Cam Ward get a second contract with the Titans? I like Ward enough that I would go yes. I don't know if he's going to be a top 5 guy necessarily, but I do think he's got good feel. We've talked about him before, and I do think he's aggressive, and I like his creativity. I want to see him do it a little bit more in the pocket. There's definitely some concerns with that, but overall, I think he was a fairly good prospect, even if he's maybe a little bit weaker than some of the other, previous number 1 overall quarterbacks. I don't think that should make you lower on him as a prospect, and it's easy to twist that in your head a little bit. But you would need to be a totally game-changing player to walk into a really bad team and all of a sudden make everything great. Ward probably could be an all right rookie, but if the situation around him isn't great, that's still not going to lead to a great passing game, even if he's personally fine. I look at what the Titans have put together. I don't think their weapons are really that special. They've added on the offensive line. I do think that can be better, but to me, this still seems like a offense that is trying to get to adequate, trying to get to not a disaster that, Ward can't possibly work through and get reps with this season, at least.
Since this was posted on r/NFL a year ago, the headline is, since 2003, the number 1 overall pick quarterback making their NFL debut has lost by an average of 11.3 points while also averaging 2 interceptions per game. And Caleb Williams' debut against the Titans last year did not, I guess he won, so it would have helped the average point differential margin, but it would not have helped I think the interception and general quarterback efficiency number. He really struggled. And that just goes to show, how difficult of a situation these first overall picks are generally walking into.
Because they go to the bad teams.
They go to the bad teams tough. And they get their shit rocked immediately. And yeah, that's the situation Cam Ward finds himself in. But I will say the Titans maybe have a little bit more in the cupboard than your typical first overall pick team, perhaps. They aren't a very young team. They've got Calvin Ridley. They've got Kevin Zeitler. They signed Dan Moore this offseason. They got Tyler Lockett.
Ridley's a fine player. Moore and Zeitler were good ads. Lockett is really starting to get up there.
He is.
Dude,
I don't want to make too many.
Absolutely nothing after the catch.
I don't want to make like too much of an assumption off of an ESPN depth chart or anything, but like we got Van Jefferson, shout out to him as a starting wide receiver. Like that is not great. It's not awesome. Their receivers are like you can't sit here and be like, I don't know about the Colts receivers and then turn around and be like, actually, I'm kind of seeing it. Dude, no way. Let's
make it very clear. The odds that Xavier Restrepo is seeing significant playing time for this Titans offense
is unknown.
Is unknown, but I would guess it's pretty good. Like as far as if this were a good receiving core, there would be no chance that he would play.
We'll see how he looks in the preseason. I get that he's college teammates with Ward, but this is like complete fan fiction at this point.
Yeah,
they drafted two other receivers before him. Like, why can't DK or the Stanford blocking legend be playing significant? Ayomanar, yeah.
And you can be, I see a lot of Titans fans and they're like excited to see these guys. And like, I get it. Like, I'm not saying that you shouldn't be interested in like the rookies you have. And Restrepo is a cool undrafted free agent, undoubtedly. I'm interested to see him too. But like, when we're comparing that to other receiving cores, I don't think we can say there's more in the cupboard until we really see it. I think three picks.
But like, I think the idea is like in any other receiving core, you wouldn't even bring up like an undrafted free agent. I think it's just the fact.
If you're bringing up undrafted free agents is like, this is part of the plan. Like that's part of the selling of like, actually, it might not be so bad. You're like, yeah, it's not great. Look, it's the Titans were the worst team in football. They're a year away. Like they're not going to be great right away. I like that they added to the offensive line. I do think the offensive line can be solid. That I can buy into. Yeah. The receiving unit, I just can't get there. I just can't get there with it being an average.
Ridley's still pretty good. Ridley's still pretty good.
Well, like, what are we comparing them to? Are we saying like, is Ward
going to be able to drop back and like not
and like play real football? No, I don't think it's going to be like an entire. I don't know what's a. Yeah, it's not going to be like a complete disaster. Like that bar is as low as it possibly could be. It's the
we're talking about the worst team in the league here. It's okay. We can roll around with it.
Right. Look, I'm just saying, I don't think their passing offense is going to take like a massive jump into something that really moves the needle for them in the win column this year. It's not a slight at the moves they made this offseason or Cam Ward. It's just setting the expectations fairly. Maybe Ward's the craziest demon of all time, and he crushes this, and it's all wrong. But like,
he might be it. I mean, that has happened twice in the last 2 years. Is that like literally some demon quarterback has just walked into a situation we all thought was dog shit and just like carried the team.
I'm too demonic.
They were too demonic, right? So maybe Ward is that.
Cam Newton.
Yeah, it's happened many times over the course of history that
their names
quarterback
are both
has
Cam.
Crazy.
What is the hit rate on quarterbacks named Cam leading teams to the playoffs or not?
I think we might be at 100%.
It's pretty good.
Yeah, okay. I can't think of any other Cam quarterbacks. So the other thing that makes the Titans a little bit better than maybe your typical first overall pick team is the defense is somewhat more promising. I mean, they were 17th in DVOA last year. They still allowed like a ton of points because of the pick sixes you mentioned, Blaiden. And their special teams were like historically bad, right? Like the worst punting in the league. So I could see the defense enjoying a little bit of being a little bit more talented than people think. And then like maybe if Matt, that Hecker is washed as a punter and he's their punter. So I don't think the punting is going to get like great or anything, but maybe they figure it out like a little bit, so they're not like
I just
allowing
can't see
the Lions
the punting being that much better.
The punting, I can't see the pen being that much better. Just don't look at Hecker and think like, holy cow, they have Johnny Hecker. Like Hecker was terrible.
Doing the like, if they can just get to like mediocre, but with the punting unit is killing me, bro. But truly,
Hey, they're
Truly, like they
coordinator.
allowed the Lions to win the game off special teams alone last year, and that like made the defense in the points per game column, or like in the amount of points you got to overcome column,
That's what I'm saying.
to look like worse than perhaps they are. And like maybe this year people can be like, wow, the Titans defense really is like a little above average or something. Like they don't have a terrible secondary.
The Titans defense was 12th in success rate last year.
Yeah, exactly. They got
Like-
kind of some scrappy secondary players with Brownlee and the safeties, and we'll see about their fiery slot guy.
and
They got Snead. Snead, he did like shoot at a car in a parking lot recently.
did he?
He did. So we'll
Not
see. His Titans tenure is not off to a very good start, but he's still there and was good. Not that
You know, he was hurt a lot of last year, so if maybe him coming back
Yeah.
can be a big. Yeah, I can see the vision on that. I can get down with that.
Yeah, I think the defense can be kind of okay. John Fassel is in his first year as their special teams coordinator. He spent the last 5 years in Dallas, so take that how you will.
he developed a demon in Aubrey
Bang.
if he was in Dallas.
And then he had who's the kick returner?
Turpin.
Turpin.
Yeah, Turpin. So
Yeah,
Okay.
DK, man. Cameron DK. So yeah, we'll see. I think they'll be pretty mid all around, but I can see a world where they're like not the Bears from last year or something. I don't know. Like
The Bears weren't that bad last year. They were bad, but they weren't, the first overall pick. I don't know. I think they're pretty easily fourth in this division. I'm excited to see what Ward can do, but I'm completely ready for him to throw a good number of interceptions and not be great statistically and not really make like a harsh judgment about him off of that.
Yeah, he is playing the Broncos week 1, and I do think that 11 points per game
The big thing is the offensive line.
debut.
The big thing for them outside of Ward is the offensive line. If the offensive line is bad, that's like they've invested way too much recently for that to be the case. It's completely unacceptable. Frankly, it would be incredibly concerning if it's not good. If we really take into account how much they've put into this. I mean, Moore got a big contract. Latham was a high pick. Skoronski was a high pick. I know they probably didn't get. Zeitler's probably on like 1 year or something like that, but he's still a great player, right? So, it's really not acceptable if it's not a good above average unit.
And they got Bill Callahan, the like supposed.
that's what I'm saying, man. The GOAT.
But he's hired by his son. He became a nepo father and lost all of his juice. Maybe
I don't.
We'll have to see.
we'll have to see.
No. Their offensive line, I'm actually super excited for the offensive line. That's like the one thing that I'm like over the moon about. I think the offensive line is going to be really, really good.
It's got a lot of potential, but Latham needs to play a lot better than he did last year. But he had some good games. I'm not out on Latham by any means.
But my hot take for the Titans, like anything, like nothing else goes right. I don't care. I think the offensive line will be top 10.
We'll see.
Top 10.
I think they've got the talent there, and I think Bill Callahan, like, legitimately is the GOAT.
We'll see. It's top 10 resources in resources invested at this point. So if they can coach, it should be top 10. I don't know if they're on that type of path, but I can maybe see it. Hopefully Ward is fun. He really does have some Big Ben-esque qualities without being big. He's kind of little, but he's got the same like bouncing off tackles, like kind of a chubby quarterback, to be honest. Like just kind of bouncing around, like got kind of the playmaker gene and not like a Lamar way, but in a
Very, very. He has a very unique play style. He's a very strange guy. I mean, the walking out of bounds we've talked about a million.
Yeah.
I'm interested to see how like that play speed translates to the NFL. You know, is it going to be? I think overall it tells me more that he's calm and collected and feels things out well. I think that's probably.
He got the Mamba mentality. He really did get it out of the mud, and he really does have the Mamba mentality in real life. So
yeah, I think there's a lot of positive indicators, but it could be a little bit of an adjustment. You know, maybe you got to run the whole time. You know, or what before you had time to make a throw with, later you won't. When you're playing at a different level, that's totally normal. So,
and he threw so many bad picks even last year at Miami.
But they weren't his fault.
He did throw bad picks that were his fault. So I could see some of that like Levis ruin the offense stuff like still being there with a rookie Cam Ward, unfortunately. But he reads the field. He's got
his receivers will be so much better though. Like in terms of like knowing how to play football. Like I don't know, some of the receivers.
Dude, his receivers it's not a good unit.
It's not a good unit, but like, dude, some of the receivers at Miami, I'm like, what are they doing? Like they don't know what they're doing out there. And like at least like even if Van Jefferson and Tyler Lockett aren't like good like NFL players, they're like they know how to play football.
Fair. Yeah, he's got a shot. He doesn't got Urban Meyer out there and like Laquan Treadwell is his wide receiver one. Let's just say that.
Respect Laquan Treadwell though.
And it was great when he was wide receiver.
It was great. Anyway, do you guys have anything else you want to talk about before we get out of here?
I don't think so.
I think that's it for me.
All right, then. Thank you all so much for tuning in to another episode of Stay Hot. We've got lots of cool stuff lined up for you before we get into this upcoming NFL season, so make sure you stay tuned. And as always, from your favorite three fellas here at Stay Hot, we will catch you on the flippity flop.